So what are some of those things that we're hesitant to discuss in our lives? Usually we think of the three big ones: politics, religion, money. Politics I don't do because we're a 501c3 and I don't talk politics. At least not here. Religion, that's kind of my bag. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about that. And money. Money is that thing that can really get us worked up. So when I start talking about money, are you feeling anything inside of you? Any kind of shift happening? I want you to just be aware of that as we start to talk about it, because we're going to get into some topics here that might trigger some stuff with you. Oftentimes the stuff that gets triggered are our old beliefs about money, our old beliefs about abundance, about prosperity, about having or not having, or about how we should get, or maybe we shouldn't want to get, and all of those things that get all twisted up inside of us. So again, mindfulness. Stay aware what's happening inside of you. And if you've never felt an energy shift, or you've never been aware of an energy shift, for me it's kind of like all of a sudden, I feel uncomfortable and I want to get out of the room. You start to, it's like, I'm kind of jittery. I'm like, what, or what the person is saying starts to irritate me, or something like that. So just be mindful of it. Like I said, we're gonna work with that. So our first uncharted territory. Come on. All right. What's going on here? There we go. Our first uncharted territory is the spiritual laws of financial success. The spiritual laws of financial success. So we're going to talk about money. We're spending the whole month with some kind of focus on money, one way or another. We have our Money Magic program that we're doing. I've got our money altar that's going to stay up during the month, just to begin to look at what money means to us, what it doesn't mean to us, and how we can move through some of the challenges that we might have with that. So this idea of money is, we're talking about the intersection of spirituality and abundance here. Not necessarily just those, coins or dollar bills that we can hold in our hands or what's in our bank account, but this is how spirituality and abundance are interrelated, and how we can use some of the principles that we have in our philosophy to help us move through some of the challenges that we might have. This is about understanding the spiritual principles that allow us to live a life of prosperity. Now, a life of prosperity can mean we've got a lot of digits in our bank account, or it can mean that I live a rich and full and fulfilling life. It doesn't necessarily have to equate to dollars and cents or any other denomination that we might want to use. So the two books that I've been working with, they're actually my go-to books whenever I'm dealing with any kind of issues around money or prosperity. They're both written by Unity ministers. Unity is another branch of New Thought. New Thought is the philosophy that we practice here. Our specific form of it's called Science of Mind. But New Thought is now a globally recognized religion, and it encompasses churches like Unity, Centers for Spiritual Living, Divine Science, and a lot of the independent New Thought churches that are out there. But Eric Butterworth and Edwin Gaines both came from the Unity movement. These are my go-to books. They are so profound in the teaching and the simple way of getting through a lot of the challenges that we have around our ideas about money. So Eric Butterworth wrote Spiritual Economics. We just did a book study a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, on spiritual economics. Scott Edwards led it for us. Yeah, there's Scott in the back over there. And we had a rich and full group that was studying this book. We haven't done the 4 spiritual laws of prosperity here for several years, but I have actually attended workshops by Edwin Gaines 3 times here at our center in the past when we were at our other building, our other location. Edwin Gaines is the guru of financial prosperity. She is well known throughout the world for her work on that. Her book is called The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. So some of the stuff that I'm going to show today, talk about today, comes from that. What in the world? There we go. So let's start with Eric Butterworth. What I love about Eric Butterworth's work is it takes us back to the root of prosperity. It doesn't focus as much on how to get, but gets us to a deep understanding of what it is we're actually looking for. And I love some of the phrases that were in the song that Karen just sang for us, spoke about this. It's not about what the physical thing is, the rock and the ground and the earth, but it's about the essence of it. What is behind it? So Eric Butterworth says this at the very opening of his book. The word substance comes from the Latin substare, which means to stand under. Now, isn't that interesting? Substance is to stand under. The substance is standing under everything. So what is back of everything that we have? We're not referring to just the component parts that make up the thing, but the non-material essence of it. The non-material essence of it. That is the root of financial prosperity, is to focus on the non-material essence of a thing rather than the thing itself. Sometimes when we're in need, all we can think about is the thing. But if we can get back to the essence behind it, what is underneath that, what is supporting that, we can really begin to see how much of our life is governed by these spiritual laws. And when we align ourselves with these laws, then we open up that door to abundance in a way that we've never been able to see before. And that abundance shows up in all forms, in our health, in our love, in our financial good, and joy, friendships, all of the things that we are looking for in our life. When we focus on the substance back of it, that non-material substance, then it allows space for spirit to show up in all kinds of ways. But if we try to outline it and say it has to be this, I need this many dollars in my bank account, then I'm focused on that and I am limiting my good in so many ways. So we begin to look at what's behind it. Our relationship with spirit and an understanding of what substance is. He goes on to say that we are not just acted upon by spirit, but we are actually the activity of the divine expressing through us. It's not just something the Spirit's doing to us. It's us opening up a way that allows Spirit to flow through us. That's when we get into that flow of life. That's when we get into that giving and receiving the good. We open ourselves up to that flow. And just like any kind of a cycle of water or anything else, it has to have an inlet before it can have an outlet. Before you can get anything out of it, you've got to let it in. And so we have to begin to allow Spirit to move through us and opening up that way. And so this is the last one from, no, it's not the last one, but it's close to it. The whole universe of innate substance is centered in you. That means you don't have to add anything to yourself. Everything is already given. In the Bible, it says it was given in the beginning before ever the world began. It was given to you in the beginning before ever the world began. We are already filled with all of the substance we could ever need. It's already in us. Are we opening out a way to let it out, to open up and let it go for us? You know, Emerson says that, Ralph Waldo Emerson says that when you break with the God of tradition, that, you know, super Santa Claus God sitting on the cloud up in the sky, making a list and checking it twice and seeing who's naughty and who's nice and, you know, judging and condemning and, you know, wrath of God coming down upon us. When we can get away from that kind of a God and understand that God is already indwelling us and it's moving through us into expression, then that this is the way Emerson says it. When we break with the God of tradition and cease from the God of the intellect, that God will light a fire in you with its presence. When we can get away from having to have that judgmental, condemning, judging, whatever you want to call it, God, if we can get away from that and allow that place for God to move through us, it lights a fire within us, and that fire is unstoppable. It's a fire of passion, it's a fire of purpose, and it moves through us into expression in all kinds of ways. There's absolutely no way that you can really begin to understand spiritual economics or to make it work into your life until you get rid of that sense of God being up there. As long as you think God is up there or somewhere else outside of yourself, the fire isn't going to get to you. We have to begin to separate ourselves from that old idea of, super Santa Claus God and become aware of the presence within us. When you begin to see things from the higher perspective of the ever-presence of God's substance, you will be in the creative flow of abundance, which will bless your life with sustained affluence. and it will also go forth from you as a prospering influence in the world. Who wouldn't like to be a prospering influence in the world? Now that's something to shoot for. That's something that we can really get behind. Can you imagine if our center was a prospering influence in this world? That would be a rich and fulfilling goal for us here. So how do we get to that? How do we get to that place where we can be a prospering influence in our own lives and the world around us? Well, now we're going to shift to Edwin Gaines, because Edwin Gaines has 4 very practical, very real life, and kind of unrelated ideas about how we get to spiritual prosperity. So I'm going to start with the first one. And again, I want you to remember that mindfulness thing. Remember mindfulness. If you feel any kind of energy shift within you, because very often when I say this word, we feel an energy shift. The first law of prosperity is tithing. The first law of prosperity is giving back where you are spiritually nurtured. Giving back in a way that demonstrates that you have complete faith in the substance back of all things. Tithing under obligation, without the faith behind it, doesn't ever free you. But when you can get the faith behind the idea of tithing, and the part about tithing that I love the best, from the Old Testament, it's giving first fruits. It's how they phrase it in the Old Testament, giving first fruits. What that means to me is that I have enough faith in spirit, in the law of prosperity, in this non-material essence that is moving through me, that I can give before I ever start to pay any of my bills. I have enough faith in it that I can give first, knowing that I'm always going to be met with all of the needs that I have, that might come up for me. There's something very powerful about developing that kind of a faith in the process of tithing that makes it unstoppable. Unstoppable in lots of different ways. I've told this story before, and I tell it in most of my classes that I teach, but I was just learning about science of mind. In 2005, I came here. I'm getting ready to celebrate my 20th year in science of mind here. But I came to the center, and I looked around, and I thought, man, these people really believe this stuff. I wasn't there yet. I couldn't believe it. I was like, any one of those phrases, I'll have what she's having, or they drank the Kool-Aid, or whatever it was. They believed it. Now, I wasn't experiencing a lot of financial abundance. I paid my bills pretty well, and I could manage most things. I lived a comfortable life, but every month it was like there was 1 or 2 bills that were late getting paid, and all this stuff. It was just like it was kind of a oppressive feeling on me. It's like I need to work through this, and so I'm in this class called Treatment and Meditation. Treatment is our form of prayer, spiritual mind treatment we call it, and it's a form of affirmative prayer. And so as I said, I'm sitting here and I'm watching. I'm like, okay, these people really believe this thing works. So me, being a scientist, decided I was going to experiment. What the heck, I have nothing to lose here. Let me see if I can make it work. And so I started doing my treatment, and I thought, okay, well, they say to start where you can believe. All right? I started with the phrase, I pay my bills on time. I had done it before in the past. I knew it was possible, but I was, struggling to do that. And so within a week or so, it was like, wow, look at this. Everything's paid up. All right, this is pretty cool. So I thought, let's take it another step forward. I pay my bills on time, and I have money left over. That was a big challenge for me. The next month, I look at my bank account, and I'm like, look at that. Everything is paid on time, and I've got a little bit of a balance here. Okay, so now they started talking about this thing called tithing. I thought, oh, man. How can, if I'm just barely paying my bills and I can just barely do this and get it done, how can I possibly give anything to anybody else? And I thought, well, like I said, they seem to think it works, so let me try it. Let me experiment with it. And so my next statement was, I pay my bills on time. I have money left over to support the causes I believe in. And I started tithing. Now, I couldn't do 10%. There was no way. I could not even get close to 10%. I don't even know that I got close to 2%. I don't remember what it was when I started, but I started a regular practice of tithing. So I thought, okay. So fast forward a little bit, and I'm getting ready to go on a vacation with a friend. And the way my pay was structured, I was going to get paid a week after we left for a vacation, which, as I said, things were a little tight here. So, I did have some money left over, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm still going to tithe, but I'm going to write the check out, and I'm not going to put it in the basket until I come back from vacation. Because I'll have the money when I come back from vacation, but this way I'll have a little bit of a cushion when I go to on my vacation. So it was a Sunday morning, and I parked my car, and I have the check in my hand, and I leave it on the console of the car. I'm like, I'm just going to leave this here. And I start walking into the church, and I get about halfway there, and I just have this strong impression, no thought involved in it. I turned around, went back to the car, got the check, and I put it in the basket. I thought, I'm trusting. So the next morning, I go to the mailbox, and in my mailbox is a check for $2,500. Now, I was expecting this check, but not for another 4 weeks, because it was paid for a university class that I had taught. And so it was like, wow, now I had $2,500 to go on vacation with. And to me, it was like an instant demonstration that when I trusted, when I put my faith in it and gave first, the universe answered. It filled my needs in more ways than I could even imagine. I had a fabulous time. New England in the fall, so it was a wonderful vacation. So for me, tithing is a very, very practical, very powerful expression of my faith in that non-material essence that we call God, that non-material source that's always flowing through me. Edwin Gaines says, if you're seeking financial growth, start by giving back to the source of your spiritual inspiration, whether it's a church, a teacher, an organization that nourishes your soul, something that you see doing good work in the community. This might feel counterintuitive when you're worried about money, but tithing affirms your trust in the divine supply. Tithing affirms your trust. Edwin Gaines was a welfare mother raising her daughter by herself, and the first time she went into church, she was able to put $1.10 in the basket, and that was a stretch for her. But it started her on a process of understanding the value of, I'm just going to trust that I don't need this $1.10. I'm going to have enough faith that when I give this in the basket, put this in the basket on Sunday morning, that it is going to open up things in my life. And it did. I mean, her whole life is built around this idea of tithing and going around to places talking about that. So understanding tithing is a very, very powerful practice there. Her second law is goal setting. She says that you have to be clear about what it is you want, clear about what you're bringing into your experience, clear about your understanding of money and all of the things that are related to that. If you're vague about what you want, then the results are going to be vague too. We have to clarify, we have to specify, we have to be really clear about what it is we really want to have in our lives. And when you set financial goals, it's not about being greedy or materialistic or any of those things that we often think about. It is about being intentional. So building our faith through the practice of tithing, setting our goals with intention. There's power in these activities. They bring us clarity about what it is we're wanting. And when we're clear about that, all of our thoughts, our emotions, our actions are in alignment. And when everything is in alignment within us, then it can't help but just flow through naturally. So write down your goals, visualize them, spend a little time with that. The third law might not seem like it belongs there, but this one is amazing. And her story of forgiveness is really, really powerful if you have an opportunity to read that book. But she says forgiveness is one of the most overlooked practices that we ever have. And it is a principle of financial growth. How many of you have ever felt bad about the way you handled money? Am I the only one? Yeah. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You did the best you could in that moment. If you could have done differently, you would have done differently. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people around you that have influenced your financial good in any way, shape, or form. Forgiveness. Forgive, forgive, forgive. You know, in the Bible, it's 70 times 7. I have one spiritual teacher said, that's just the beginning. The 70 times 7 is just the beginning. What that means is you forgive constantly. You forgive constantly, as much as you can, 70 times 7. What if you could have let go of all of those hurt feelings that you have, either the way you reacted to something financially or someone else around you? Think about how much energy you open up inside of you. Think about the space that allows that non-material essence to flow in when we clear away the stuff we don't need. So forgiveness. And the last one is divine purpose. And what by this she means is finding the way of life that fulfills your divine purpose. One of the books we read a few years ago was The Big Leap. And in there, Gay Hendricks, the author, called it working in your zone of genius. This is the thing that we came here to do. This is the thing that is our divine purpose. It's the reason that we exist, the reason that we are here on this earth. And when we can find that reason and then live from that, what a wonderful expression of life that we have. I was just working on my website, and Kelly Marshall, our wonderful website guru, has been helping me with that. But she had a place on there for a tagline. I'm like, what am I going to put for a tagline on my website? And then I sat with it for a little bit, and it came to me, living and loving life in the intersection of creativity and spirituality. Now that to me just feels like that's my divine purpose. That's why I'm here. That's what puts that fire inside of me. That's what lights me up and lets me get up in the morning with joy and enthusiasm for everything that's coming before me. And that's what brings in all kinds of good in lots of different ways. It may not always be material. Sometimes it's that creative impress that just flows through me, and it's like, wow, look at this. This is amazing. This is incredible stuff that's coming through me and just lighting me up. A lot of times people tell me I'm full of it. So when we align ourselves with these spiritual laws, when we clear away those things that don't serve us, we open up that abundance flowing through us. We open up, we step into that stream, that flow that is just looking for a place, for an outlet. But if we clamp it down, it's like taking a garden hose and squeezing the end of it. The flow is still there, but we've not let it have a place to get out. And so we have to begin to look at those things that are blocking that. When we can do it, we wind up with a life that is so magnificent, so filled with joy. I see that life in many of the people in front of us right here today. I see that life in people all around the world, where you can tell they've got it. They know that what's flowing through them, and they've opened up that way. I love the way Emerson says it. Open out a way from whence the imprisoned splendor may emerge. Open out a way from which the imprisoned splendor may emerge. That's our purpose in life. That's what we're here, and that's what financial abundance means for us. All right, let's take this into prayer. I invite our spiritual practitioners to stand and surround us with their consciousness. They hold us in prayer throughout the week. If you ever would like an individual prayer after service on Sunday, we have a room over here, our little prayer room. They are happy to sit and pray with you there. We have a box in the lobby. It says prayer request on it. There's a little piece of paper. You can fill that out. And Kelly, our website guru, has put it on the website. You can just click a button, and it's right there to fill out a prayer request. Spirit cannot answer your prayers if you don't ask. So please take the opportunity and ask. And so right now we just simply turn within to that place where we feel connected, that place at the heart of our being, where the indwelling presence resides. And breathing into this place, I simply know that there is only one power, one presence, one creative love intelligence that has brought forth everything into existence. This one manifests itself throughout all life, through all material substance, through all immaterial non-essence substance. For all is that presence of the one. Nothing exists outside of it. It is the isness and the allness and the fullness of life. The beginning, the end, the Alpha, the Omega. Everything is encompassed within this one. And because I know there's only one, I know that I am one with it. I know the power and the presence of that creative intelligence resides right at the heart of my being. And as I know this is true for me, as I feel this deeply within my soul, I know this is the truth of everyone. For we are all, each, a unique incarnation of a love so powerful it could do nothing but bring itself forth in expression. And because I know that there is only this one power and one presence, I speak my word of truth. I know that right here and right now, each one of us is filled with that incredible substance. It was instilled in us before ever the world began, and it will be with us throughout all eternity. For we are inseparable from that one divine creative source of all. It moves through us in the most amazing and abundant ways. It shows up as prosperity in our financial good. It shows up as health in our bodies. It shows up as love in our relationships. It shows up in joy in everything that we do. There is not a place within us where spirit does not dwell. And how good it is to know it, how good it is to feel it, and how good it is to see it happening right here and right now. And I just simply release this word into that creative intelligence that knows no lack or limitation. I let it go and I let it be, and together we say, and so it is.